Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Wednesday, hump day. Glad to have you with me. Here's a sobering thought. I want you to think about this. According to the New York Post, there are nearly 2 million illegal immigrants walking freely around the country who have either deportation orders or criminal convictions, but yet they're still here. Why are they still here? We'll get into this in today's show. Democrat mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani in New York City is getting renewed attention for a recent pledge to eliminate a key police department responsible for riots, civil disorder, and shootings. The same department who rushed to the scene of the shooting that killed 4 people this week. We have the details on that as well. A U.S. senator says the mayor of Cincinnati should resign after a mob was allowed to assault 2 people last weekend, while hundreds watched and taped on their phones. And only one phone call was made to 911. Another record day of heat yesterday, with another expected today. Since 1998, more than 1,500 children have died in America because they were left in a sweltering car. What can you do to prevent this? We have that story today as well. A lot to cover, so let's just jump right in.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
New York City Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch said yesterday that investigators plan to question a man who supplied parts for a gun that was used in the shooting at a Manhattan office building that houses the National Football League's headquarters. 4 people lost their lives. The gunman turned the gun on himself. The man tried to target the NFL headquarters on Monday, but took the wrong elevator, according to Mayor Eric Adams. The shooter killed 4 people, again, including a New York City police officer, wounded a 5th before taking his own life. A note found on his body suggested he had a grievance against the NFL over an unsubstantiated claim that he suffered from chronic traumatic CTE, a brain disease linked to head trauma. Tisch said that 2 groups of detectives were on their way to Las Vegas to conduct interviews and execute a search at Mr. Tamura's home. The officers will also visit the gun store where he legally purchased a revolver, and you need to understand that. He legally purchased the revolver on June the 12th using a Nevada concealed carry permit. There's been a lot of questions on how he was able to do this. If he has mental issues, which has been widely reported, how was he able to purchase a gun? Of course, the left have gone nuts on it. The left, they're already calling for more gun control. We know that argument, right? Meanwhile, police in Manhattan are executing search warrants on the gunman's car and the 2 phones that he left at the scene. Tisch said yesterday that authorities have located that associate and intend to question him about the firearm purchase as part of a larger effort to trace the gunman's movements from Las Vegas to New York City, just when he did it, what he did, and what led up to the shooting on Monday. Tish said this information will give us a detailed picture of how and why this happened, but it will not do anything to ease the pain of losing one of our own, and that's for sure. According to reports, the weapon used was an AR-15 style weapon. Of course, they're calling it an assault weapon. You and I know why they want to use that term. I've had a lot of you text me and email me saying, Joey, stop calling it an assault weapon. I'm not calling it an assault weapon. I'm telling you what is being reported, what they're saying. And when I say they, meaning some of these Democrat elected officials. They're using, in every news release that I've seen, they've described it as an AR-15 style assault rifle. According to the reports, it was assembled by the shooter using a lower receiver purchased by an associate. He said, we've located that associate and others, and we'll be questioning him about that purchase. So evidently he had someone, a friend, a family member, somebody, purchase some of the parts. Tamura was scheduled to appear at his overnight security job at the Horseshoe Las Vegas on Sunday, but he never arrived to work. Sadly, he showed up in New York instead, and some people lost their lives. And as New York continues to literally reel from this deadly shooting in Midtown on Monday, and you hear these stories of mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani that's getting renewed attention, where he just recently called for parts of the NYPD to be disbanded. Now, this Mamdani is probably going to be the next mayor of New York City. He's currently in Uganda celebrating his wedding, but he's previously called to defund the police, though as a mayoral candidate, New York Post says he has taken a much more subdued tone regarding policing. However, while already a candidate for mayor, Mamdani pledged on X as recently as December of 24 to disband the New York Police Department's Strategic Response Group, known as SRG. The SRG is one of the NYPD Special Operations Unit, which, according to the force's official website, specializes in disorder response, crime suppression, and crowd control, and responds to citywide mobilization, civil disorders, and major events with highly trained personnel and specialized equipment. The website also says that the SRG personnel are deployed to areas requiring an increased police presence due to increased crime or other conditions, and mobilizes for shootings, bank robberies, missing persons, demonstrations, or other significant incidents. I would say that qualifies for the shooting incident on Monday, wouldn't you? Now, Mamdani pledged, quote, as mayor, I will disband the SRG, which has cost taxpayers millions in lawsuit settlements and brutalized countless New Yorkers exercising their First Amendment rights. Now, I'll bet you that everybody in that building on Monday, after the shooting started, did not think that SRG was brutalizing New Yorkers. SRG ran inside of the building to try to confront this guy. SRG was there responding with their life at risk to try to save others. In response to the shooting, Mamdani has said, I'm heartbroken to learn of the horrific shooting in Midtown, and I'm holding the victims, their families, and the NYPD officer in critical condition in my thoughts. He also noted he is grateful for all of our first responders on the ground. Well, I would hope so. While you're off vacationing, which, hey, look, it's your wedding, so I'm happy for you. But for someone who potentially or most likely will be the next New York mayor, unless something changes drastically, for him to be talking about defunding the police when they performed pretty well on Monday. They probably saved some lives. This lone gunman, who's been identified as Shane Tamura, walked into the Midtown Manhattan office, opened fire, killing people, and then killing himself. The 4 people killed in the shooting were identified as NYPD Officer Didaral Islam, Blackstone executive Wesley LePatner, security guard Alon Etienne, and Julia Hyman, an associate at Rudin Management. The motive for the shooting, again, is a little unclear. What's been reported is that he had a grievance with the NFL, blaming the sport of football for apparent issues with the CTE, claiming he hasn't been the same since. This is a side effect from repeated hits to the head. Although his coach, his high school coach, is saying that he only remembers an ankle injury. He doesn't remember repeated head injuries. We'll see. Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. We talked yesterday about the attack in Cincinnati, one of a couple of attacks that have just really gotten a lot of attention over the past 2-3 days. Of course, the situation in the upstate of South Carolina here with the high school football camp where these 3 African-American kids attacked a white kid on their team. They held him in his room. They assaulted him to the point that he reportedly will not be able to play sports in the future. Now, interesting part of this is we've learned a couple of things yesterday. First off, the Pickens County School Board reported that they had just late last week learned of the incident. So that kind of tells you that the school, the coaches and whoever at the school were trying to kind of keep this on the down low, try to keep it quiet, if in fact the school board didn't know anything about it. Now, they're vowing to get to the bottom of it. They're vowing to hold everyone responsible, and they very clearly said from the top down, which I'm assuming will mean the principal, the coaches, and the students. Now, the other part of this is we have learned that the students involved, that there is a criminal investigation, but because they're minors, this will be held in the family court, and we'll never know because it will always remain sealed. So we won't know what the charges are, if any. We won't know what the outcome is. If they're charged, if they're convicted, what the punishment is. We'll never know that because it will be sealed in the family court records. The only way we'll know if, in fact, something was done is if these young men do not show up on the football field come fall, which I don't think they will now. I think probably before all the hoopla, before all the light was shined on the case, I think these coaches had every intention of having those boys out on that football field playing this fall. I don't think it'll happen now. And I won't be surprised if some of the coaches don't lose their job. But that's Daniel High School. That's one story. The other story that continues to remain in the headlines is this brutal beating in Cincinnati. This wasn't just a fight. It was a breakdown, a collapse of public order in plain view, right out in the middle of the street in downtown Cincinnati. This man gets jumped. A woman trying to help him gets knocked out cold. Her head hits the pavement, and you see blood coming out of her mouth. And out of 100 people watching, get that, at least 100 people, maybe more, watching, only one bothered to pick up the phone and call 911. The rest is stood around with their phones videotaping the assault and cheering them on. And now Ohio's Republican leaders are stepping up to say what many Americans are thinking. This is what happens when cities choose chaos over law and order. This is what happens when you have Democratic-run cities who just don't care about law and order. Congressman Michael Ruley didn't mince words. He told Fox News Digital, name one major city in America where you'd feel safe letting your kids walk alone. You can't, the senator said. And he's right. We've normalized fear. We've accepted crime, lawlessness, and moral decay as just part of the modern urban experience. It's just like that, and there's nothing we can do about it. Or is there? Congressman Ruley called out exactly what's fueling this disaster. Sanctuary city policies, defunding the police, and a refusal to deal with violent criminals and the mentally unstable, and he's not alone. Senator Bernie Moreno took it further and said that Cincinnati's Democrat mayor should resign, just flat out. Moreno called him a disgrace, pointed out the obvious. This didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened under the leadership of people who've allowed lawlessness to flourish. And where's Representative Greg Landsman, the Democrat whose district includes downtown Cincinnati, where this happened? He's silent, nowhere to be found. It's like these people go ghost every time a real problem surfaces. So let's be clear. This isn't about a one-time fight. It's about what kind of country, what kind of city we want to live in. When the streets belong to violent mobs and people are more interested in going viral than calling for help, that's not just a safety issue. It's a cultural right. Our culture has declined to the bottom of the pit. President Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance watched the footage and put it bluntly. He said, disgusting. I hope every single one of those people is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And he's right. That woman, the one who got sucker punched trying to help, she deserves justice. And so does every law-abiding citizen who's tired of feeling unsafe in their own city. Democrat leaders want to talk about root causes, systemic issues. Well, here's a root cause for you. You stopped enforcing the law. You empowered these thugs by talking about defunding the police and making the police the bad guy. You stopped backing law and order. You let criminals run the show. That's the issue, and that's what has to stop. And don't tell me this can't be fixed. It can't. But it takes leadership with a spine. People got to step up. It takes a mayor who won't shrug off or won't shrug when their cities become war zones. It takes prosecutors who will actually believe in putting criminals behind bars and leaving them there. It's time for people to say enough is enough. And folks, I think we're about there. Do you? Do you think that people are ready to say enough is enough? With what happened in Cincinnati, it was tragic. What happened with this football camp, people just standing back and watching it happen, is tragic. People are over this type of action. Now, here's something you're not going to hear from the legacy media. Not loud enough anyway. According to the New York Post, in a new report that was just released yesterday, there are at least 2 million illegal immigrants walking freely around the country that we know about because they have deportation orders or criminal convictions hanging over their head. But they're still here. Let me repeat that. 2 million that we know of that can be documented. It's not counting the millions and millions who slipped in that we don't know about. But 2 million that we know about. They're not waiting in a courtroom. They're not behind bars. They're living in our neighborhoods, going to our schools, walking right past us on the streets, and our government knows it. Now, according to ICE data, there are 1.5 million people who've already been told by a judge, you don't belong here. It's time for you to leave. Then there's another 423,000 convicted criminals, not just accused, not pending, but convicted, and they're still here too. Why? Because even with court orders in hand, enforcing the law apparently takes a backseat to politics. Now, under President Trump's new immigration overhaul, including that $75 billion infusion from the One Big Beautiful Bill, ICE is finally getting the green light to do its job. They're ramping up hiring, offering 50,000 bonuses to retired agents to get back in the game. They're trying to clear the backlog, but let's be honest, this is a pretty big mountain to climb. It's not going to happen overnight. Each ICE officer is juggling an average of 7,000 open cases. Let that sink in. How can one person manage 7,000 cases? That's not law enforcement. That's chaos management. You can't track that many people with a straight face and pretend that we're serious about border security. We got to get help, and that's what the One Big Beautiful Bill, that's part of it. And we're not even talking about people in custody. These aren't folks behind bars. They're part of the non-detained docket, a bloated, overwhelmed database with over 7.5 million names of migrants who were simply let go. 7.5 million names. We came in, they identified themselves, we took their information, put it in a nice little database, and told them to go on their way. We may have given them some money. We may have given them a bus ticket or a plane ticket to someplace else. We may have given them temporary housing. Who knows? Many are supposed to check in with ICE. Some are wearing GPS monitors. Others have just vanished. They're gone. They got exactly what they wanted. They got into the country, and now they've disappeared, hoping to never be seen again. So let's be clear. And we all know this, and President Trump knows this. This is just simply not sustainable. You don't maintain a nation with 2 million known lawbreakers roaming free, especially when almost 500,000 of them have already been convicted of serious crimes. But you get back to the problem of, what do you do with them? How do you find them? It takes manpower. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris welcomed them into the country. They invited them to come across the border. And here's what's infuriating. We've got the tools. We just have to empower them and give them the resources. ICE has tens of thousands of tracking devices ready to deploy. They're hiring more manpower. As I mentioned a minute ago, they're giving bonuses for officers who retired to come back. If they're allowed to do their job, they can eventually do it, but we need to give them all the resources that they possibly need. What they don't have, though, is consistent backing from the federal government. This shouldn't be a partisan issue, but it is. It's split right down the middle. And that, as you know, that margin is razor thin. I mean, what we're talking about here should be just a basic function of government, and that's keep our border secure, protect law-abiding citizens, remove those who break the law and have no right to be here. Instead, under the Biden-Harris administration, these enforcement efforts were kneecapped. We had sanctuary cities turning away federal agents. We still do. Some of them are defying the Trump administration, proudly so. You had cities ignoring ICE detainers. You had bad guys being turned loose, literally helping them out the back door so the ICE agents wouldn't see them. We had court cases being delayed by rogue judges, dockets being buried, border agents turned into babysitters. Now, President Trump is flipping the script on that. And I'll be honest, even with all this new funding and staffing, are we going to be able to deport 2 million people overnight? No, we're not. No one's saying it, but I guess we can stop the bleeding. But we're going to have to prioritize violent offenders and repeat criminals. We're going to have to prioritize who goes first. And we can send a message that the law actually means something again, that we do have secure borders, and we intend to keep them secure. I mean, we spent years being told that enforcement is cruel. It's cruel and unusual punishment to put these people through this. They came to our country to have a better life for their family. We've been told that checking immigration status is racist, so you can't ask people what their immigration status. You can see someone, you can suspect that they're here illegally, but you can't ask them. Following through on a deportation order is somehow un-American, according to some. Well, what's actually un-American is allowing violent criminals to remain in this country simply because the system is too broken or too afraid to act. But Donald Trump's changing that. Donald Trump is empowering as best as he can and as quickly as he can these agencies to let them know we want secure borders. We want neighborhoods to be safe. We want cities to be safe, not overrun with these violent gangs of illegals. I mean, what's actually cruel here? Telling the families of victims, American citizens harmed by people who shouldn't be here, that their pain doesn't matter, that the system did its best? That's not justice. That's cowardice. That's laziness. So yes, Trump's ICE is coming back stronger. Yes, it's going to take time, but the effort's finally there. It appears that the resources are going to be there. The political will is somewhat back. We still got to work on that. That's why the 2026 midterm elections are so important, so we can maintain our majorities and build on them. And if this country wants any shot at getting a handle on immigration again, it has to start by enforcing the laws already on the books, and I think they're doing that. Because a border that you don't enforce is a border that's not actually there. Changing the subject for a minute, UCLA, like some of the other woke colleges, Harvard, Columbia University, they've agreed to pay over $6 million, not for a contract dispute, not for a construction error, but because Jewish students and faculty were banned from part of their own campus. Hard to believe this happened in America, but it did last year, 2024. According to court records, Jewish students were physically blocked from accessing a part of campus, something protesters literally called a Jew exclusion zone. Let that sink in. On an American college campus, students were told they could not pass through unless they denounced their faith. And the worst part, UCLA administrators allowed it to happen. They knew it was happening. They didn't do anything to stop it. They didn't just fail to act. A federal judge said they actively aided and abetted this anti-Semitic environment. Now, thanks to a lawsuit from the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty, UCLA finally is going to pay a price, both financially and publicly. And make no mistake, they're not settling because they suddenly discovered a moral compass. They're settling because they got caught. They're being held accountable, not voluntarily. They're settling because the court ruled that UCLA violated the Constitution. Just that simple. That they allowed mobs of anti-Israel protesters to block Jewish students from walking to class, to intimidate them, to single them out simply because they're a Jew, simply because of their faith. One of those students, Yitzchak Frankel, a father of four and a third-year law student, had to reroute his entire day just to avoid getting harassed for wearing his Jewish outfit, Jewish attire that were traditional Jewish attire. Think about it. A man trying to earn his law degree in the United States was forced to avoid parts of a campus because the people in charge did not have the spine to stand up to a mob, a student mob. And let's not forget, this is all happening at UCLA, a school that receives hundreds of millions of dollars of our money, a school that preaches inclusion, diversity, and tolerance, unless apparently you're Jewish. This settlement follows Columbia University's $200 million fine. It also negotiated under the Trump administration. Education Secretary Linda McMahon said it very clearly. These settlements are setting a precedent. If universities can't or won't protect students' civil rights, they'll have to pay, and they'll pay handsomely, because there's no gray area here. When a campus allows a group to set up checkpoints and tell students you're not allowed through here unless you denounce your religion, That's not a protest. That's discrimination, plain and simple. That's harassment. And again, this isn't just about UCLA. This is about a culture of cowardice that has taken over elite institutions. University presidents are afraid of the mob. So they're allowing these so-called safe spaces. But when Jewish students are assaulted, or when they're harassed, when they're barred from campus areas, suddenly they forget how to lead. But it's going to end very soon. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. I shared with you a story yesterday about a dad who has been charged with neglect. He left his 4 children, ages 7, 5, 4, and 2, I think it was, all less than 7. He left them in a hot car when it was 95 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. Authorities say that the inside of the vehicle, when they were able to break the glass and get the children out, it was 125 degrees in there. What was he doing? Dad was in an adult video shop watching porn. But it kind of made me think about this whole issue. We read these horrible stories of parents or guardians, grandparents, babysitters, sometimes leaving kids in a hot vehicle and they die. It's very sad. In some cases, it's just simply a different routine. A dad is not accustomed to taking a child to the nursery. They put them in the back seat of the car. They get preoccupied, maybe take a phone call. They forget. They don't drop them off at the nursery. They go to work. They jump out and they go into their office, forgetting that the kid is in the back seat. This issue is not a political issue. It's parental. It's something that we have to talk about, especially during these blazing summer months. Every single year, an average of 38 children die after being left in hot cars. 38 little lives gone. Not in war, not from illness, not from some freak accident, although I guess you could call this an accident, but because they were left, sometimes forgotten, again, in a sweltering car that became a furnace of death. Since 1998, more than 1,050 children in America have died this way. And folks, it doesn't take hours for this to happen. In fact, on a 90-degree day, the inside of your car can hit 120, 130 degrees or more in just about 30 minutes. Now, this dad in Phoenix reportedly had been in the video store for an hour. These kids, according to officials, had already started, their bodies had changed color. They were sweating profusely. They were dehydrated. They were about to die. Because a child's body heats up 3 to 5 times faster than an adult's. Again, that's just a science. Has nothing to do with politics. So let me tell you, this isn't just a matter of bad parenting. It's often a result of routine distraction, as I gave you the example of the dad. People doing something different. They get busy. They're good people. They're busy people. They're Christian parents. They're conservative families. It can happen to anyone. But just because it can happen doesn't mean that we should just throw up our hands and say, well, it's just one of those things. We're going to have a certain number every year. We got to do better. We got to try to prevent them. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration calls these deaths entirely preventable, and I agree. So here's just some solutions. I just did, after the story yesterday, and I was thinking about it, I did a little research. And, of course, there are lots of ways to do this. I mean, if you have kids, just get in the habit of checking your back seat, whether you have them with you or not. Put something important back there, your phone, your wallet, even one of your shoes that you have to put on before you can go someplace. Set an alert or reminder. Keep cars locked when not in use so kids can't climb in, because that's another way that this happens sometimes is kids get into a vehicle without their parents knowing it. And if you see a child alone in a parking lot, call 911 immediately. Don't assume their parents just around the corner. Break the window if you have to, because you might just save a life. And you know what else we need? We need the churches to get involved. We need faith-based leadership on this. They should be talking about this. Parenting ministries should be putting out flyers. Talk about protecting, we often talk about protecting the unborn. Let's also protect the newborn, the toddler, the preschoolers who are already here in our lives. These children are precious gifts from God, and we need to protect them. We're pro-life people. Let's live it out every day. Let's be vigilant. Be responsible. If you're a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, a passerby, be aware. According to some of the statistics, over 52% of deaths are caused by a caregiver forgetting the child is in the vehicle. This was published by noheatstroke.org. It's often not a parent. 29% of deaths related to children forgotten in vehicles involved a caregiver other than a parent. Nearly 22% of deaths result when a caregiver knowingly leaves a child in the car, typically to run a quick errand or let the child finish a nap. Nope, you don't do that. The majority of the temperature rises causes within the first 15 to 30 minutes. Caregivers may mistakenly assume that cracking the windows is sufficient to cool and ventilate the vehicle. That's not going to work either. Nearly 25% of cases are related to the child gaining access to the vehicle without adult supervision. Again, keep your doors locked. And while we're talking about our little ones, what about our little furry friends too? Every single year, hundreds of dogs and cats across America die after being left in cars during the summer heat. And those are just the ones that we know about, because with pets, there's no reporting requirements. Many more suffer heat stroke, permanent organ damage, or worse, they just never make the news. Dogs don't sweat like we do. They regulate their temperature through panting, and when that fails, their organs start shutting down, and it happens very quickly. In many cases, they die in less than 20 minutes. Imagine your dog trapped in a metal box, baking from the inside out. That's not just tragic, it's cruel. Again, we're not talking politics here. We're talking about responsibility. God gave us animals. He gave us dominion over animals, so we have to take care of these animals. They're precious little gifts. And if you've got a pet like I do, Jesse and Simon, our two Cocker Spaniels, you know that these aren't just animals, they're our family. So let's be practical with our pets too. We're talking about our kids, let's talk about the pets too. Don't bring your dog if you're running errands. And you think you can just leave them in the vehicle for a minute. You know, there have been cases, sad cases of canines who have died in a vehicle because the police officer left them in a vehicle that was running, because they do that quite often, but yet something happened and the car choked down, and within a matter of minutes, it overheated and they lost a canine. If you need to travel with your pet, bring a human along who can stay in the car with the AC running and take care of them at the time. Peggy and I do that quite often. If we're traveling together or something, one of us stays in the car while the other runs in, and vice versa. Always keep water with you so you can take a quick water break if you need to. And if you see a dog locked in the car, don't walk away, call 911. Again, in many states, including South Carolina, you're legally allowed to break the window to save the animal. Do it. Make sure they're safe. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.